Well, what's up, y'all? As always, welcome to the channel. One thing I'm often asked by Christians is what is the one thing that they need to know about Seventh-Day Adventist theology if they want to reach Adventists with the truth? And for years, my response has always been the same. So if you're a Christian and you want to engage with Adventists apologetically, stick around. Part of what binds Christians together, despite whatever tradition or denomination you might be a part of, is that we all share in the same worldview. Seventh-day Adventists, however, do not share this worldview. While they might use all of the same language that we do, they mean something fundamentally different. And this is because they have their own unique paradigm that governs how they see the world. They have branded this as the Great Controversy theme. Whether it's the modern flavor of Adventism that many have tried to prop up in recent years, that Adventism is really a big tent with lots of varying theological viewpoints and ideas, or the old paths, dyed-in-the-wool traditionalist Adventist who wants to see the movement hold fast to its roots, it is the Great Controversy worldview that transcends all of that and acts as the glue that binds the entire spectrum together. You might think of it like a coloring page. The Great Controversy worldview provides the lines that all Adventists are working with, but you may have one person that colors in a section with orange and another with purple, and so on. With that said, let's unravel this a little bit further. At the base level, the Great Controversy is the pre-earth origin story of the SDA Church, and it's built upon a supposed vision that Ellen White was given at a funeral in Lovett's Grove, Ohio in 1858. In this vision, Ellen White claimed to be shown all sorts of information regarding what was going on in heaven prior to the creation of the earth. That is to say, they believe there is this large expanse of time between the creation of heaven and earth. In short, Mrs. White asserted that God the Father called the heavenly host together to make known that he had conferred special honor upon Jesus, who is his son, who was then exalted to be made equal with his Father and given an authority he did not previously possess. She claims that this was in anticipation of the creation of the earth that Jesus would then partake in alongside the Father. This was the trigger that then resulted in Lucifer becoming jealous, becoming Satan, rebelling against God and his law, meaning the Ten Commandments, and starting a war in heaven. The outflow of this led to the tempting of mankind, leading to the fall, sin entering the world, and a supposed great controversy between Christ and Satan that has been waging ever since. This vision became the blueprint for Ellen White's capstone work with the self-same name of The Great Controversy, which is a part of the larger Conflict of the Ages series of books. Despite the rampant amounts of literary borrowing that are found throughout the book, aka plagiarism, including themes from John Milton's Paradise Lost, which is a historical fiction of the fall of Satan told from the vantage point of Satan, this laid the foundation for what would become the Great Controversy theme or worldview. Writing in the December 2000 issue of Ministry magazine, a publication for SDA clergy, renowned SDA theologian Herbert Douglas, explaining the Great Controversy theme, said this: "For Seventh-day Adventists, the Great Controversy theme is the core concept that brings coherence to all biblical subjects. Every philosophical or theological system builds on a central governing theme or paradigm. Its central theme becomes that system's core truth and determines all of that system's principles and policies." Stephen Hawking, the remarkable Cambridge physicist, wrote in his 1988 book, A Brief History of Time, that should scientists discover the long-sought theory of everything to explain the varying mechanisms of the universe, we should know the mind of God. Seventh-day Adventists have been given that, a perspective which provides a theory of everything. It introduces us to the mind of God. We didn't discover it, it was given to us. We call it the Great Controversy theme. How we understand this core theme directly affects how we grasp the intent of the biblical writers when they used words such as righteousness, salvation, gospel, etc. The GCT helps us to work our way through centuries of theological confusion over the meaning of such realities as justification, sanctification, atonement, obedience, and works. Without the Great Controversy theme, all would remain divided over such subjects as the importance of the Old Testament sanctuary service and the New Testament view of Christ as our high priest mediator, the meaning of faith and grace, the place of obedience in relation to legalism, why Jesus came the first time, why he came the way he did, and when he will return. So as you can see very clearly, this extra biblical paradigm is what all of SDA theology is filtered through. It is supposedly the equivalent of the God particle, which was uniquely given to the SDA Church, and only the SDA Church, to answer everything. He says it was not discovered by them, but given, meaning it is not coming from reading Scripture, but from somewhere outside of Scripture. It couldn't possibly be coming from the Bible because it's needed to even understand the Bible. One can't even properly understand the gospel without it, supposedly, which gives us insight into the fact that yes, the Adventist church has their own unique gospel, as we have looked at in great detail many times. Notice too, he also told us that the great controversy theme is supposed to be the antidote for theological division, yet the movement is rampant with exactly that. When you are claiming to be given the theory of everything, which might be one of the most grandiose claims in the world, this should not be the case. Nevertheless, since this paradigm informs every aspect of their theology, and it was uniquely given to them and only them, this should give you insight into the not so subtle theological superiority complex that so many Adventists exude. They think they've been given the God particle, and they are here to correct the rest of us with this secret insight that only they have. But then he continues by saying this: the Adventist eschatological framework sets us apart from every other denomination that speaks of the end of the world because it is governed by the great controversy theme. The distinctly Adventist view is formed by a mutually supportive cluster of ideas, including conditional immortality, Seventh-Day Sabbatarianism, a premillennial historicist eschatology, acceptance of the gift of prophecy in the ministry of Ellen White, teachings about the priestly work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary, and a prepared people by his grace. This mutually supportive cluster of ideas that marks Adventist eschatology exists today because the great controversy theme informs all areas of Adventist thought. So as you can see, this is what makes Seventh-Day Adventism unique, which is why I said earlier that they have a different worldview than Christians. So when you hear them tout one of their favorite slogans,
"We only believe the Bible,"
understand that what they mean is that they believe what the great controversy theme tells them the Bible is saying. Understand that their movement claims one cannot even understand the Bible without this extra biblical paradigm laid over the top of it to interpret the Bible for you, which means no. They don't only believe the Bible. The truth is, as we have looked at multiple times before, they think they have an infallible interpreter housed in the writings of Ellen G. White, which is where the great controversy theme is actually coming from. While there may be a theological spectrum within Adventism that various SDAs may fall on, which again is not supposed to be the case, underneath all of that is a pre-earth origin story that they all embrace as foundational to their understanding of how they see the world and everything that happens in it. Now, there's a lot more to the great controversy narrative itself, something that we will be doing a deep dive on at a later point in the future, but hopefully this helped you see the fundamental difference between Adventism and Christianity, which is worldview. It's also why scaling the language barrier with Seventh-Day Adventists is a must if you are going to engage with them apologetically. They will use all of the same lingo and language that Christians do, salvation, Jesus, gospel, but they mean something entirely different. Parsing through all of that can be rather difficult, which is in part why this platform exists. So if you like what we're doing here, you want to learn more, partner with us, or access more resources, we want to encourage you to visit answeringadventism.com, or you can connect with us both on Facebook and Instagram. As always, until next time, God bless.